All right, what's going on YouTube? Back at you with another video. So we're on 160 days of SR. And it's funny, the more I do it, it becomes less and less impressive. It's so hard to explain. But I think that's just a consequence now of higher standards, to bring up the gym and that stuff, of course, because those are equally as important. When you have the identity shift needed to sustain these habits, you recognize, oh yeah, waking up early, going to bed early, none of these things make you special. They become the bare minimum. So now you have a new ceiling that you need to reach because, of course, it's always going to be another way to push yourself. But SR, and this is going to be the main topic of the video, essentially, we're going to talk about why you keep relapsing and how to stop it. And that's the thing because it's funny. When I decide to do SR, I've only relapsed once. And I know in hindsight, of course, because alcohol, I'm like, damn, was it worth it? No. But that's one of the first things I want to talk about is your environment. It is virtually impossible to relapse if you don't hang out with people that eat goofy food, partake in gooftivity, which is probably my new favorite words. That's just funny. But anyways, as long as you're not doing no dumb shit like smoking and all stuff, you don't interact with anyone that does that, you're not going to lose your streak. And that's another thing too. If you have chicks hitting you up or you want to see this girl, your standards need to be so high where you start to think, okay, does she help me improve? Like, does she work out? Is she aligned with this or that? Because if you can't answer yes to all those questions, you're just setting yourself up for failure. And you're gonna recognize that too. If you can't do SR, it's very likely you're probably not doing the other things you should be doing. Just think about it. Ask yourself, why do I eat the crumble cookie? When you object about it, every time I ate that crumble cookie, you were probably with a friend. So if you don't interact with that friend, you can't eat the crumble cookie. You can't jump the ship off your diet. If you don't hit up any chicks, or if the ones that do hit you up, you block them immediately, you can't relapse. And I know some of you actually do have an issue with porn, so we're gonna address that too. You just have to, and this is gonna take some time, but you really have to treat it like life or death. When you understand that, when you break commitments to yourself, you're actually killing parts of yourself. You're killing your true nature. When you rest in that importance, for me, it's impossible to do those things now because it's not even that it's I don't. It's not even that it's damaging. It's just standards are so high. I actually can't imagine myself doing that. But if you're not at that point yet, I would say one of the easiest way. I'll give you another way. Here's the easy way. You just got to become so busy. It's funny. I was talking to a friend about this, but they thought I was joking. But I'm so busy. I don't have time to goon. There is always something to do. Like gooning would actually, it would dip into my sleep, and my standards are so high. I'm like, I gotta get those 7 hours, 7 to 9 hours, or 6 to 8, 7 to 9. Make sure you're getting your sleep. But gooning would interfere with that, so I'm not gonna do it. Your standards just get that high because that's another thing too. And this is why I'm gonna coin this. We'll talk about that. My true retention and why I think you need to do retention in all its aspects. You don't want to do retention, still hang out with people that don't align with you, still smoke, still drink. I understand now. The only way to really learn yourself, you have to self isolate. You have to become okay being alone, but then you also have to get lean and be healthy, be the best version of yourself. That's where you're gonna figure out what you actually are and who you actually are. When you strip away all the vices, your mind, it can flow freely because you're not running. You can deal with the problems because you're not running to things. That's why you have to practice true retention. You need to master SR because if you master that, because SR is still ultimately going to be the most difficult thing. That's why. That's why you have to do it. And this is, I keep bringing this up. That David Goggins video. When I learned that this nigga hates to run, and he does it like he fucking loves it. You got to do SR because it's difficult. Not many men can do this. This is how you're going to start to separate yourself. And that's the thing. You can't do this for ego. You can't go out here until you're not going to tell our schedule, oh, I do SR, I'm better than you. And anyone that thinks we do it for that reason, I know you don't retain, and that's fine. But SR is going to humble you because there's no ego here. It's just doing it for alignment and pursuing your better self. If there's any superficial reason, you are going to relapse. And you have to really understand that because it's going to show. It's going to show in your streak. And I download an app. There's another retention YouTuber who I listen to, Bogdan Pocket. Shout out to Bogdan. He's on like 300 days. But I really only do it now so we know what day I'm on so we can kind of track the awareness and thoughts I have. But you got to give it a lot more time because 160 days, in my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, this is actually the beginning. This feels like the starting point. And that's another thing too. It feels like this chapter of my life, it's like, yeah, this is the starting point. It was from here that everything changed because I became aware, like truly aware of what was around me. Because this is the thing, you can't say you know yourself. You can't say you're confident if you don't do these things, if you don't do the difficult things because you don't know. You have to be complete in all aspects. SR, the gym, all these things, they help you become complete because it's difficult. That's why not many people do it, but not many people talk about it. Because if you tell anyone, oh, you don't goon, it's like, what? You don't goon? What the hell? Like, what are you, a weirdo? And which is funny, but that's how it is. And for those of you listening that, maybe you're on 6+ days, it doesn't matter what day you're on. If you're past a week, you're actually in the 1%, and I need you to really, really understand that. So that when you get hate or weird looks, you have to remember, you got to be objective about this. Take out all emotion. You're the weird one. It's normal to goon. It's something I learned recently. There's porn conventions. I'm not making this shit up. That's a real thing. I was like, wow, oh my god. I don't know if anyone knows who Felix Fearless is, but he's got some clips, and I was watching the clip, and I'm like, nah, there's no way. I'm like, oh my god, damn, we can't be that cooked, guys. That's almost like your standards can't be so low where you're doing cooked things like that. There's you can't even defend that. Like a porn kid, like I was like, no, come on. You have to. That's another thing too, if you're really going after the bag, if you're hitting the gym, 3 to 5 days a week, 4, whatever. If you're hitting your protein goal, if you're meal prepping, if you're doing other if you might be in college or have a sport or whatever, if you're doing all these things, you're not gonna have time to goon and do all that bullshit. So you just gotta start doing more things. You have to be busy because there's always going to be something to do. You gotta journal, you gotta meditate. There's always something to do. That's why when you start to get aligned, you're gonna recognize, oh yeah, you're not in the game as much. See, I know I love my anime, but you can't binge, a whole season a day like you used to because you gotta work out, you gotta wake up early, you have to do all these things, and that's good. You need to be busy as a dude. You have to be busy. You cannot be sitting at home bored. That's how you relapse. But let me take the biggest thing retention has taught me. You got to put the mission first. And I've been rewatching Attack on Titan. That Eren Yeager, like, you got to be cold as hell. You got to stay hard. David Goggins. You have to be obsessed. You can't. You don't get to this amount of days unless you're obsessed. It can't be normal. I know we all want normal, but greatness, you're not gonna find greatness doing normal things. That's the trap because everyone says it, but you can't have it both ways. You can't be lean, go out and drink. You can't have it both ways. So you have to see. For me, I'm okay paying the cost. However long it takes. If it's 2 years of self isolation, so be it. I'm okay paying that now because you can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. You can't have the streak but then still want to give in to dopamine to instant gratification every other day. No, the identity has to become that you delay gratification. That's the only way you're gonna last. Because I would tell you, if I'm being honest, 106 days, this has not been difficult. The reason it has been difficult is because my standards just keep getting higher. But it's very hard to explain. But there's gonna come a point where you're not going to relapse. Like you would have to be chained down and drugged to relapse. And I know that sounds crazy, but If you do it long enough, you will get to that point. Because remember, ultimately, if you're not out here smashing chicks, and that's another thing too, SR is going to teach you, is this person actually worth my time? But not even SR, just getting more aligned and learning yourself, learning about your peace and things to maintain your peace. You're not going to want to interact with many people because you're not like most people. So you shouldn't be interacting with most people because you're not like most people. That's going to be a spiritual alignment. You have to stay consistent all the time. All the time. Because I'll say the thing about SR is it's going to give you that awareness. I know everyone thinks, I thought it was hippie nonsense. Try it. Just try it for five months because you're going to get humbled. Because the first time you try it, you're probably not going to get to the 150 days. Because that's the thing. You can't, it goes both ways. You can't, because either you're seeing chicks all the time or you're going to pixels, but you're losing to lust some way. SR is going to humble you because it doesn't matter if you could pull any chick on the planet. At the end of the day, those chicks are still straying you further from God. So you have to retain. You got to put the mission first. When you're okay putting the mission first, that's the thing. SR is going to teach you. You're going to get to the point where the street doesn't matter. But SR is going to make you put the mission first, serving your purpose. Because that's ultimately, it's something I had to reflect on lately. When they're saying don't chase, attract, build, that shit's true. Because all the things you want are going to come as a consequence to your vibration. What's the highest way to increase your vibration besides the gym? Eating healthier? SR. There's another way too fasting, but not in the way you guys think. You only really need like 1 to 2 like really long fasts, but I went 166 hours without eating. That changed me too. Now the reason that changed me was because if you can go 5 days or 4 or 5, whatever, how long that is, I don't know the days, but if you can go that long without eating, a hunger pang when you're cutting or you haven't eaten that much food, there's nothing, that's the thing too. See, what SR is going to do as that number gets really high is tell you, oh, I've done this, which many people struggle with. If I'm really objective about it, that action or that thing that I want to do, it's definitely easier because more people have done that than SR for this amount of time. So you're like, oh, okay, so I can do that too then because I've already done. That's the thing. It's going to give you evidence and merit. I always bring up this scene in Black Clover. Shout out to Asta, OG retard maxer, but he kind of acts. It's when he's talking to Julius, and and Asta's like, "What does it take to be the Wizard King?" And the Wizard King it's not about boop boop boop. It's merit, because confidence comes from merit, things you've done. See, the journey of getting lean, SR. These are just further ways to show myself that okay, you have what it takes. You're competent. And as a dude, I think you need that. You need that. So in the world, when you get thrown insults, or some dude calls you this or that, or a bitch, you're like, okay, I mean, not sure why I never dudes call me a bitch, but it is what it is. But you're not fazed by it because you have super armor, literally. Because you know you're doing difficult things that they're not doing. And it's not from ego, it's just subjective. This is objectively difficult. Take all emotion out of it. This is hard. But it's easy for me. There's a quiet calmness that comes in that. Because you can't lie about this. It has not been hard to get to 160 days. Because all the other things in the identity shift have already occurred. This reflects as the street. And you'll know, it makes sense. It's so hard to explain because you can't pinpoint the exact date and time when you had the identity shift. You just know it's occurred. It's very hard to explain. But I know anyone this will resonate with some people. You had that identity shift and you already know you're at not the end goal, but you're already there. All you're missing is time. You've mastered lust. If you're already lean, all those things, they begin to make sense for recognize, yeah, like the identity shift comes first, then it reflects externally. That's another thing too. The biggest thing from SR is it makes you stop trying to solve the problems in the physical world. Because when you solve the problems in the other world, the internal, your actual internal, and this is something like Nikola Tesla and all these people talk about too. The whole frequency vibration, all that shit's very real. And the reason I'm going to tell you it's real is because I was the most 1 + 1 = 2 dude. I tried to solve every problem in the external world. But when you recognize the spiritual world and you begin to have battles there and you start to win, then you notice everything starts to play out a lot better in our external world. That shit's very, it's some shit straight out of Avatar, straight out of anime. You cannot make it up. It's very real. It is very real. You'll get like there's certain powers you just develop. You know, I have a mentor. He can, I don't know how he's doing it to this day, but he can like infer things about people, guess their favorite color, and I know it's you can't. I'm like, no, there's no probability where he's able to do that. It has to be he's using another source. But there's so much crazy things we have the potential to do. And one of my favorite stories is I don't know if anyone knows, but there was a mom. You know, her baby was like stuck under a car, and she essentially lifts the car up. Now she's a woman, and she lifts like the car up halfway. The normal car size is like 5 6 tons, so she still moved like 3 tons as a woman. That's like what a 10x multiple, you know, crazy things like that. But what SR does in just alignment and the focus and calmness is I'm thinking for that lady, maybe all the noise went away. There was no distraction. She just like, I want to save my kid. That's it. And then she moved instinctively. I understand that's kind of what the flow state is, where you focused on one point. That's it. Nothing else matters. And SR, and that's why I think it amplifies meditation too. It's just a lot of benefits. That quiet calmness that you get when you know whatever happens in the external, you're gonna be okay because you have spiritual alignment, you have this spiritual barrier. Cannot no one literally nothing can take that from you. That's why it's so powerful. That's why, you have to this is the thing about it too. Not to get into conspiracy theory, but it would be ultimately you have to let me tell you, you have to do the things that are gonna make you the most dangerous. If everyone was retaining whole industries get destroyed. You guys don't like whole industries off instant gratification, the casinos, the porn, all those, even the food industry, all those things get destroyed because you can't retain for this long or make the lifestyle unless delaying gratification becomes the identity. But that's dangerous. That's why they don't want you to do it. That's why they make food, so easy to consume, so easy to buy, because they don't want you to have this awareness because it is dangerous. But we're never going to gatekeep on this channel. We're going to put everyone on. But that's ultimately why you should retain. The reason you're relapsing, let me tell you, is because you don't think it's serious. I'll talk to certain people, they don't understand how serious the gym shit is. This shit is not, it's not a game. It's not a game. Because the goals that you want, they're gonna come as a consequence to you mastering the gym, gluttony, lust. They're gonna come as a consequence to all those things. Really think about it. Michael Jordan, LeBron, you don't have to ask them if to retain. They're doing it because they don't have time to goon. They don't have time to goon. Muhammad Ali, there are plenty of examples of this. So if you want to be or aspire to that level of greatness, SR is the bare minimum. That's another thing. This is if I want to be best version of myself, hard motherfucker, stay hard, become cold as hell. SR is the bare minimum. So once you recognize that, it becomes easy because this is the bare minimum. We haven't gotten to the hard part yet. This is the bare minimum. When you understand that, you can't relapse. You literally cannot relapse because this is the easy part. We haven't gotten to the difficult part yet. This is Naruto fighting, Zabuza. We haven't fought Pain yet. We haven't fought Madara. We haven't fought Kage. We haven't fought any of those people. These things are the bare minimum. You gotta always remember that. Even if you don't believe it, just tell yourself, SR is easy. SR is easy. Because objectively, it is easy. But then you could also argue, okay, it's hard because not many people are doing it. But it's more so, SR is hard. But remember, it all depends on your standards, which is why environment is so important. Because people that are high vibrational, they're not viewing SR as difficult. But if we're objective about it, okay, one could argue it is difficult, but locked in people, it's not difficult for them. That's just their bare minimum. That's their standard. That's the distinction. I don't know if that makes sense, but when you understand that, it becomes very easy to retain. So if you keep relapsing, you just gotta raise your standards. And that's another thing too, which is it's kind of funny, but if you're relapsing so much, the answers, of course, are going to come outside of SR. There might be other aspects you need to fix in your life, but that's why I say start the gym, start with those things because that's going to be the easiest way to transmute your energy. But if you're not doing any, that's not if you're not doing anything else besides SR, yeah, but you're gonna relapse for that reason because SR is an amplifier. You have to do other things that raise the vibration, and then you're gonna get more benefits of SR. That's why you got to work out because when you play working out at SR, you cannot lose. Any plateau you have in the gym, it's going to be crushed. I'm telling you. You can look into the science of it, but you're just gonna feel more aligned. You're gonna feel better, and you just know like you're doing very difficult things every day, and no one can take that from you. So even if you're only on a week, you're a real nigga. Like, congrats. Because that's the thing. Not many people are going to tell you, but I'm going to fucking tell you that's just difficult. Don't let anyone clown you or try to downplay you because, again, this is not an easy journey. Most people, they won't even attempt it. They're so cooked with instant gratification, dopamine hits that they're not even going to attempt this journey. You can't, you can't skip it. You got to do it. You have to retain. If you want to be the best version of yourself, you have to do it. There's no way around it. The sooner you recognize that, it becomes easy. There's no option. You can't be the best version of yourself and lose to lust every day. It does not exist. You got to be just very objective about it. But yeah, it's 106 days on SR. We'll do more of these videos. Apparently, that they seem to be doing pretty well. But yeah, guys, stay locked in. Make sure you're retaining. Hit your protein goal. Don't engage in gooftivity. Don't eat goofy foods. Stay locked in. Stay blessed. Let's get it.